What's up everyone, to another video full speed. I'm Paulson. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between the XRT and the UDR Traxxas RC cars, and which one may be the best one for you to buy. So let's just get right at it. Alright guys, so right here we have the brand new special edition Traxxas XRT, and over here we have the Traxxas UDR that we've owned now for about 5 years. And this thing has been an absolute rig. We have enjoyed this RC car a lot, especially on the dunes, putting paddles all around. It's been great. But let's get down to the nitty gritty on this one and which one you should buy. Alright, so let's just assume that since you guys are watching this video that these are both within reason of your budget of buying one or the other. So we're not going to really factor price so much, as besides the fact of what the money buys you versus one versus the other. So going straight to the Traxxas UDR. Alright, so going to the Traxxas UDR first. This here has a one-piece body that uses screws here to hold the body on. This is not the original body. Our first one did last us a decent amount of time, but that's only because we were actually pretty easy on the body. Once these bodies start cracking, they make their way past this little screw, and then it's kind of no bueno after that part, and you're kind of caught replacing a body, and they're not cheap. If you wanted to get the original body, you're at about 130 bucks. And this one here was 80 bucks, but after you start buying spray paint and everything else, you're still at 100 bucks. And then we had to trim out our spot for our lights and all that still. So that was kind of a thing. Another thing too I'm a firm believer on is your ESCs. This XRT is going to prove me wrong, but this Traxxas here was made for a 6-cell, but I always think that you should run a couple cells under whatever the max ESC is rated for. So this being rated at a 6, for the longest time we only ran 4 cells in it, and we made sure that we didn't like overcycle it to where we kept on overheating the ESC, like running battery after battery. And it lasted us a long time until this previous year, where we finally dipped into running 6 cells, and we kind of ran it back to back, even though I did leave a little bit of a cooling time, and we were running small double stack 3 cells equaling 6 cell, so it didn't have a long run time, being maybe 10 to 15 minutes, which is pretty average. And we ended up burning up the ESC. That ESC was 5 years old. I wouldn't expect anything more out of an ESC. So we ended up going to a hobby wing version, which we had to modify, and then we had to do a whole different wiring to get our Traxxas lights to work. Nice thing about the new UDRs, I will say, is that they come with a nice front row LED light that we don't have on ours right now because we broke it. And then it comes with the back LEDs here that light up, that look really good. And then you also have your LEDs here that also look really good. As far as tire performance, these are horrible. Even though they do look good, these are 5 years old that have been ridden on the road, not a lot, and they look pretty much the same as they did brand new. You get no traction in the grass, the dirt, or anything, so you will have to buy tires for this thing, which there is a limited selection for the UDR. They're not really great for the track, mainly because your back end here, it's pretty much like a locker. Like, there is no limited slip, there's no nothing. It's it's not an open differential, kind of like your Slashes and some of your race buggies and all that stuff. It's not like this one here. So this one is, and it's got a different suspension setup, more like a trophy style truck or stadium truck style here, and which is really fun, and it's really cool to see it run. But this is a lot more of a, in my opinion, this is a straight sand truck. This is great for the sand. Put paddles on and let her rip. Also probably good for bashing around the yard and ripping. But when it comes to taking it to the track, they do sell where you can get a different diff in the back here, but that's also spending more money. And it comes with kind of a simple shock setup, if you guys could see in here. Nothing too special. It does have 2 in there per side, but again, they're not oversized or anything like that. It's a pretty standard for a 1/7 scale, which is kind of, again, that's kind of an oddball size too on scale. So you're not going to be able to really race this truck in any classes. So that's kind of another downside. We actually had, there's actually guys in here, stock is like a little plastic cover that went in here that showed like 2 guys. The problem with that too was that to get anywhere into your ESC in here, you would have to take the body off. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws there. And then there's a cross member here. So you have to take those 4 screws out. And then that plastic piece also had, I think, another 4 screws, and 2 of them being on the back side here, that where you'd have to take your little fire extinguisher off, or you'd have to really shimmy your screwdriver in to get these more of these button screws off. And then you'd be able to kind of flex your little plastic mold of guys and pull it out. Then you were finally to the ESC, and we have not, that was not addressing any other parts of the vehicle while getting to your steering servo and your receiver box and all that stuff would require some of the same steps. So not easy to work on. UDR is definitely a 1 out of 10 on being able to work on it. Great thing is we haven't had to work on it too much. It's been a really solid rig. We haven't replaced any of your drive shafts, your axles. Haven't even touched the bearing on this thing yet. Though I do think our front bearing, I think we have a little play in one of our wheels that we need to double check before it starts ruining stuff. So other than that though, I mean, the UDR is just great looking. It is fun to run. It's not too big. It's kind of easier to store into your car. If it does break down, it's easy to carry back. So that's one of the great things. I really do. As much as bad stuff I just said about this UDR, I really do enjoy this UDR. It is a great runner. We go out to the dunes a lot, and we're always eating up pinions and spurs when we're out in the dunes. And the UDR has proven to us that it is just, it's a perfect scale to be out in the dunes, have a good time, to rip, and with that 6 cell and 4 paddles, the thing gets it. So this will be our next year here, running probably a lot more 6 cell in it, and test a little bit more how the drivetrain holds up. But I haven't heard too many complaints on the drivetrain on the UDRs, so that is good. Biggest thing is they complain about is when it comes time you actually break it, working on it. So other than that, if you don't break it, you're good. Now, for the vehicle that we have not tested so much, but we have heard so much about, I don't think you guys need to hear as much about this as the UDR, but this here is your Traxxas XRT. This thing here runs up to an 8 cell stock, and that's what everyone runs on these things. Haven't heard of anyone even running just a 6 cell. Everyone goes straight to the 8 cell on these things, and they are monsters and they rip. Now, these tires here are a smudge softer and they are way wider, so you're definitely getting more grip with these. They are nowhere near comparison of the UDR. Now, the other thing that's great about this thing is it is super easy to take your body off on this thing. It is nowhere like some of those old RC cars, guys. And like that, boom, there's your SC, there's your motor with this insane cooling fan system on here. And then basically, you know, you got a cover here, you get to your gears, you got a big axle on here, and just to look at the size of these shocks, guys, I mean, those things are massive. And this is a 1/6 scale. And I measured it to my HPI 5th scale. Boom, there's that. So, and just like that, it was that easy to put the body in. I measured this to my 1/5 scale, you guys might see up in the corner there. And this is actually wider than my HPI by quite a few inches. And as far as length goes, if we go bumper to the end of this wing here, this here runs at a 34 inches, I believe. And our HPI runs closer to a 38. So it's got it by 4 inches. And even if you were to measure from the outside of the wheels, the HPI Baja, still longer. But that gas RC car is no comparison to what this thing can do here. The power that they put in this thing is crazy. And you do have a wheeling bar back here with bearings in the wheels too, I might add. That's nice. Some of your wheelie bars don't even have the bearings, and it's just kind of a cheesy standard wheelie bar setup. So the difference between price between these two machines is roughly $200. We were lucky to catch this on a Traxxas sale, but it didn't deter me as far as the UDRs were on sale too. So either way, my boy wanting to run this UDR here, I wanted to pick something up for myself. I had a hard time picking up another UDR and having 2 UDRs, so I really wanted to try something different and have something different in our garage. And this special edition here, black one, was definitely the answer. We'll definitely have to get paddles for this thing, but if you look at what the cost of tires and wheels are compared to like your 1/7 scales or even 1/8, it's honestly not that much of a difference, which is kind of nice to see. Not that it's cheap, but it's still within the ball range of being affordable. And again, the amount of machine that you get for just a little bit more money, because we thought about the UDR, but I thought, okay, I buy a brand new one, and let's say I smoke the ESC within the first few months. The amount that ESC would cost me to replace would be almost the price difference of me now owning one of these. And that's really how I looked at it, guys. And besides, you know, like I said, the paddles and all that stuff, I was going to be close in the range of what, there wasn't going to be much price difference there either. So I paid a little bit more right up front to have this machine, but it's going to pay for itself. Not really, you know, they definitely don't do that, but it's going to be worth it in the long run. And these are so notorious on how, these are so famous on how durable they are. This one also with the X-Max, hands down, easy decision. XRT, if you got the money. The only thing I would say is that the UDR is a little bit more of a good shelf queen and puts out a little bit more style, just because the cool little, you know, stadium / trophy truck or whatever. The thing I'm gonna say is actually gonna be more to the X-Max, and this one here is why we picked this one. The X-Max is known for being a big monster truck, and having the same motor setup and all that, it's wild. So it's not necessarily as controllable. It looks, but when you run it, it looks nuts, and it's great for a good crowd pleaser. I've seen this machine, this huge machine, being all wild and pulling the wheels up all the time, and you know, being in a sense uncontrollable. Not saying that it can't be controlled. But what's great about the XRT, it comes already with the wider A-arms on this thing, so it's already got the wide kit on it. So it's got a great stance. It's lower to the ground. Not saying that this thing can't pull the wheels up, but it definitely gives it a better balance. And what's great about this too is if your track allows it, you can go and rip this on the track and have fun. Unlike the UDR, not saying you couldn't take that on a track, but this is definitely going to do way better. One thing I want to talk about real quick that I didn't bring up in the video, guys. The battery trays compared to UDR and XRT, XRT is 1,000 times better. Now, you still have to buy the correct size battery here, but it's way easier to get to. And at worst, I've seen people, you have to pull this out here, and then you put a little washer underneath it, this assembly here, and it spaces it up a smudge, and you're good to go. Just make sure you buy the right size battery, and you'll be good. Now, same thing goes with this. Make sure you buy the right size battery. But if you're not buying Traxxas batteries, they make it just a little bit more difficult on you. But you have this here, and you see we have ours padded with foam, but you got to wedge 2 batteries in there and run them over here, to which will be a Traxxas plug, but we changed our plugs. And on top of that, once you get the battery stuffed in there, you get that little clicked in there. You still have a whole nother piece to slide in, and then you got to lock it in like that. So this is a way more big pain in the butt when it comes to putting the batteries in. We already test fitted some 4 cells in here that we had laying around. and we always run those Z batteries. And yeah, definitely good. And we already got our converters here because we don't mess with those Traxxas plugs if we don't have to. But for this here, being brand new, we didn't want to modify any wires in case there was an issue. We just wanted to make sure we tested everything and everything worked. So just wanted to add that in. So that's all I'm going to do. I could keep on yapping about these, but that's all information I could think of off the top of my head that will benefit you guys on deciding which one you want. Hope this video helped you guys out in some way, and you guys know the deal. Until next time, see you later.